The greatest secret is this: being ordinary doesn't cost you anything. On the contrary, when you free yourself from the struggle to be special, you discover the real magic. Because what you call ordinary, breathing, walking, seeing, these are actually billions of years of cosmic miracles. While trying to be special, you're ignoring the miracles you're already living. You know, there's something rather peculiar happening in our culture. We've created this enormous industry around making people feel special. Every advertisement whispers, you deserve more. Every social media platform promises, share your unique story. Every self-help book declares, unlock your extraordinary potential. And we've bought into this completely. We've become addicted to the idea that ordinary isn't enough. But let me ask you something. When did ordinary become a dirty word? When did being like everyone else become the ultimate failure? Think about it for a moment. The sun rises every day, and how ordinary. Your heart beats without you thinking about it. How mundane. The earth spins at exactly the right speed to keep you alive. How routine. We've been programmed to believe that if something happens regularly, it loses its value. If everyone can do it, it must not be important. But this is perhaps the most backwards thinking imaginable. The things that happen most consistently, most universally, are precisely the things that sustain all life. Water flows downhill. How predictable. Plants turn toward light. How expected. Animals care for their young. How common. Yet these ordinary patterns are the very foundation of existence itself. Yet somehow we've convinced ourselves that these everyday miracles aren't enough. We need to be different. We need to be special. We need to stand out from the crowd. And this need, this desperate hunger to be extraordinary, has become one of the most exhausting aspects of modern life. Here's what nobody tells you about the pursuit of specialness. It's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what you actually are. You're trying to make extraordinary something that's already beyond extraordinary. It's like a wave trying to become wet, or a flame attempting to become hot. You're already what you're trying to become. But the specialness industry doesn't want you to know this. There's no money in telling you that you're already complete. There's no profit in explaining that ordinary is actually miraculous. So instead, they sell you courses on finding your unique purpose, products that will make you stand out, and strategies for personal branding. They've convinced you that being like everyone else is a problem that needs solving. Social media has amplified this message 1,000-fold. Every platform is designed to make you feel like you need to be more interesting, more successful, more photogenic than you actually are. You scroll through curated highlights of other people's lives and somehow conclude that your behind-the-scenes reality isn't enough. You start believing that if you're not constantly sharing something remarkable, you must be living a remarkably boring life. But here's the truth. Those highlight reels you're comparing yourself to, they're performances too. Everyone is pretending to be more special than they feel, and everyone is feeling inadequate compared to everyone else's pretense. Watch what happens when you buy into this narrative. You start performing. Every conversation becomes a chance to showcase your uniqueness. Every social interaction becomes an opportunity to prove your worth. You curate your life like a museum exhibition, carefully selecting which parts to display and which to hide. You become a walking advertisement for the special person you think you should be. This performance is exhausting because it requires constant vigilance. You must monitor how you're coming across, adjust your image based on your audience, and maintain consistency across all your interactions. You start to forget what you actually think because you're so focused on what you should think. You lose touch with what you genuinely enjoy because you're pursuing what you believe will make you appear interesting. You become a stranger to yourself in service of an image that was never really you to begin with. And the exhausting thing is, this performance never ends. Because specialness, by definition, is relative. You can only be special compared to others who are ordinary, which means you're trapped in an endless game of comparison. There's always someone more successful, more creative, more enlightened, more whatever you're trying to be. The goalposts keep moving, and you keep running toward a finish line that doesn't exist. The comparison game is rigged because it's based on incomplete information. You're comparing your inner experience, full of doubt, confusion, and ordinary human messiness, with other people's carefully curated external presentations. You know your own struggles intimately, but you only see others' highlight reels. It's like comparing a rough draft to a published book, or comparing how you look when you wake up to how someone looks in a professional photograph. The comparison is fundamentally unfair, but you make it anyway, and then wonder why you always come up short. I once knew a woman who spent years trying to find her unique gift. She took personality tests, attended workshops, hired coaches, all searching for that one special thing that would make her different from everyone else. She tried art, writing, public speaking, entrepreneurship. Each time she would get excited thinking she'd found her calling, only to realize that millions of other people were doing the same thing. How can I be special, she would ask, if everyone is trying to be special in the same ways? What struck me most about her journey was how it gradually separated her from simple enjoyment. She couldn't just paint for the pleasure of painting. She had to determine if she was uniquely talented enough to make it her thing. She couldn't write a journal entry without wondering if it revealed her special voice. Every activity became a test, every interest became a potential identity, every hobby became a possible career. She was so busy searching for her uniqueness that she stopped experiencing the joy that had originally drawn her to these activities. The search for specialness had poisoned the very experiences that made life worth living. This is the trap of specialness. It's a game you cannot win because the rules are designed to keep you playing. The moment you achieve some level of uniqueness, the bar gets raised. The moment you feel special, you realize how temporary that feeling is. You're like a hamster on a wheel, running faster and faster, but never actually getting anywhere. But what if I told you there's another way? What if the whole premise is wrong? What if ordinary is not the opposite of special, but the very ground from which all specialness emerges? Think about a tree for a moment. Is an oak tree trying to be special? Is it comparing itself to other trees, wondering if its leaves are unique enough, if its branches are sufficiently distinctive? No, it simply grows. It follows its nature. It does what oak trees do. And in this complete ordinariness, this total lack of self-consciousness, it becomes magnificent. The tree doesn't waste energy on self-improvement seminars or worry about its personal brand. It doesn't suffer from imposter syndrome, wondering if it's oak enough. It doesn't compare its growth rate to other trees or feel inadequate when a neighboring tree grows taller. The tree simply responds to sunlight, absorbs nutrients, grows according to its nature, and in doing so fulfills its highest potential without even trying to have a highest potential. The tree doesn't need to prove its worth. It doesn't need to find its purpose or discover its unique gift. Its very existence is the gift. Its ordinary process of growing, breathing, reaching toward the sun. These simple acts are profound beyond measure. The tree is extraordinary precisely because it's not trying to be extraordinary. Now here's the radical thought. You are no different from that tree. You are nature expressing itself as a human being. Your ordinary functions, thinking, feeling, walking, talking, these are not preparatory activities for some future specialness. They are the specialness itself. When you breathe, you're participating in a process that connects you to every living thing on Earth. The oxygen you inhale was exhaled by plants. The carbon dioxide you release feeds those same plants. You're part of a vast interconnected web of life, all breathing together in perfect synchronization. This is not ordinary. This is miraculous. But it happens so regularly, so automatically, that you've learned to overlook it. Consider this. The air you're breathing right now has been breathed by countless beings throughout history. Molecules that once sustained dinosaurs, ancient trees, and every human who ever lived are now sustaining you. With each breath, you're participating in an endless exchange that connects you not just to all current life, but to all life that has ever existed. You are literally sharing the breath of Buddha, Shakespeare, and your great-grandmother. How's that for connection? How's that for being part of something magnificent? Yet we call it ordinary breathing. When you see you're doing something that took evolution millions of years to develop. Light waves are hitting your retina and being converted into electrical signals that your brain interprets as the visual world. Right now, you're seeing these words and somehow, mysteriously, meaning is arising in your consciousness. This is not ordinary. This is incomprehensible magic, but because everyone can see, you've decided it's mundane. When you think, you're engaging in the most mysterious process in the known universe. Consciousness arising from matter, awareness emerging from brain activity. Scientists still have no idea how this happens. It's the hard problem of consciousness, unsolved and perhaps unsolvable. Yet you do it effortlessly every moment of every day. This is not ordinary. This is the deepest mystery of existence. Right now, as these words appear in your awareness, something inexplicable is occurring. Symbols on a screen are somehow becoming meaning in your mind. Abstract concepts are arising from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. You understand these sentences not because you're trying to understand them, but because understanding is simply what consciousness does. It's like asking how wetness happens to water. It's not that water becomes wet. Water is wetness itself. The real joke is this. While you're exhausting yourself trying to be special, you're missing the fact that your very existence is impossible. The odds against you being here are so astronomical that mathematically you shouldn't exist. Yet here you are, reading these words, breathing, thinking, being aware. You won the cosmic lottery just by being born, but you're so busy trying to win another lottery that you can't enjoy the prize you already have. Think about the chain of events that had to occur for you to exist. Every one of your ancestors had to survive long enough to reproduce. Every cosmic event, from the formation of stars to the evolution of consciousness, had to unfold in precisely the way it did. If any single variable in the history of the universe had been different, you wouldn't be here. The fact that you exist at all is so improbable that it borders on the miraculous. Yet you dismiss this miracle as ordinary and spend your energy trying to become something special on top of it. Here's what happens when you stop trying to be special. You start noticing what's actually here. You begin to see that ordinary life is saturated with wonder. The way light falls across your room in the afternoon, the sound of rain on windows, the feeling of being understood by a friend, the taste of water when you're truly thirsty. These moments, which you've been dismissing as mundane, reveal themselves to be precious beyond measure. You also start to notice other people differently. Instead of seeing them as competition in the specialness game, you begin to see them as fellow participants in this mysterious experience of being alive. Their struggles become understandable because you've stopped pretending you don't have struggles. Their joys become infectious because you're no longer threatened by their happiness. When you're not competing to be the most special person in the room, you can actually connect with the people in the room. Relationships become deeper, richer, more authentic, because you're no longer performing your specialness, but you're simply being yourself. There's a Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The activities don't change. What changes is the quality of attention you bring to them. When you're not preoccupied with being special, you can actually experience what's happening. You can be present to the extraordinary ordinariness of existence. And this doesn't mean you become passive or stop growing or creating. It means you stop creating from a place of lack, from the feeling that you're not enough as you are. Instead, you create from fullness, from the overflow of simply being alive. Your work becomes play. Your efforts become expressions of joy rather than attempts to prove your worth. I want to tell you about a man I met who understood this deeply. He was a janitor at a large office building. Every day he would come to work early, clean the offices with tremendous care, and interact with everyone he met with genuine warmth. People would ask him if he ever wanted to do something more important, something that utilized his intelligence, something special. He would laugh and say, well, what could be more important than creating clean, beautiful spaces for people to work in? What could be more special than helping others feel comfortable and cared for? When I watched this man work, I saw something remarkable. He wasn't just cleaning, he was choreographing an experience. He would arrange things in ways that would bring small moments of joy to the office workers. A perfectly aligned stack of papers, windows cleaned to crystal clarity that revealed the beauty outside, plants watered and positioned to catch the morning light. He had transformed routine maintenance into a practice of love. His ordinariness had become a form of artistry. This man had discovered something profound. He had realized that the value of an activity doesn't come from how unique or special it is, but from the love and attention you bring to it. He transformed cleaning from a mundane chore into a sacred practice. He found the extraordinary within the ordinary, not by changing what he did, but by changing how he did it. This is the secret that the specialness industry doesn't want you to discover. You don't need to find your unique purpose. You don't need to uncover your special gift. You don't need to become extraordinary. You already are extraordinary. The very fact that you exist, that you can experience anything at all, is the most extraordinary thing imaginable. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you truly understand this, when you really get that ordinary is miraculous, you naturally begin to shine. Not because you're trying to be special, but because you're no longer hiding your light under the bushel of self-doubt and comparison. When you stop performing specialness, your authentic being starts to radiate naturally. People are drawn to this quality. There's something magnetic about someone who is completely comfortable with who they are, who isn't trying to impress or prove anything. They have a presence that's both peaceful and energizing. They're interesting precisely because they're not trying to be interesting. They're attractive because they're not seeking attention. They're special because they've stopped trying to be special. You've probably met people like this. They might be doing completely ordinary things and teaching children, fixing cars, cooking meals. But there's something about their presence that stands out. They're fully engaged with whatever they're doing, not because they're performing for an audience, but because they've found the richness that exists in every moment. They listen when you speak because they're genuinely interested, not because they're waiting for their turn to say something impressive. They make you feel comfortable being yourself because they're comfortable being themselves. This is the great irony. The very thing you've been seeking through all your efforts to be unique and extraordinary, you can only find by embracing your ordinariness. It's like trying to catch your shadow. The more you chase it, the faster it runs away from you. But stand still, and it appears right at your feet. So what would happen if you stopped running? What would happen if you stopped trying to be special and started paying attention to what you actually are? What would happen if you treated your ordinary life as the miracle it actually is? You might discover that you don't need to find yourself. You might realize that you don't need to become anything other than what you are. You might see that the search for specialness was actually keeping you from experiencing the profound specialness of simple existence. This doesn't mean you stop having preferences or ambitions. It means you hold them lightly. You pursue what calls to you, not because you need to prove your worth, but because it brings you joy. You create not because you have to be special, but because creation is your nature. You love not because you need to be loved in return, but because love is what you are. There's a profound difference between pursuing something from emptiness and pursuing something from fullness. When you chase goals to fill a void, to prove your worth, To become special, the achievement never satisfies. You reach the mountaintop only to discover another mountain you must climb. But when you pursue things from a place of already being complete, the journey itself becomes the destination. Success becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Failure becomes information, not devastation. You can play the game of life without being played by it. When you operate from this understanding, life becomes effortless in a way you never imagined possible. You're no longer swimming against the current of your own nature. You're no longer fighting with reality about who you should be. You can finally relax into who you are. And here's the most beautiful thing. When you truly relax into your ordinariness, when you fully embrace the miracle of simple existence, you become a living invitation for others to do the same. Your peace becomes contagious. Your contentment becomes inspiring. Without trying to teach or convince anyone of anything, you become a demonstration of what's possible when someone stops trying to be special and starts appreciating what they are. This is not about lowering your standards or settling for less. This is about recognizing that you already have everything you've been seeking. This is about seeing that the ordinary experience of being human is so profound, so rich, so mysteriously beautiful that no enhancement is necessary. But don't take my word for it. Try this experiment for just one day. Stop trying to be special. Stop curating your image. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop seeking validation for your uniqueness. Instead, pay attention to the simple acts of living. Notice the miracle of your breath, the magic of your senses, the mystery of your consciousness. See what happens when you treat ordinary moments as the gifts they actually are. You might be surprised by what you discover. The greatest magic is not in becoming something other than what you are. The greatest magic is in recognizing what you are. Right here, right now, breathing, reading, being aware, you are participating in the most extraordinary event in the known universe, consciousness itself. You are not ordinary in the sense of being boring or insignificant. You are ordinary in the sense of being part of the natural order, part of the cosmic dance, part of the great unfolding of existence. And this ordinariness, this naturalness, this complete lack of need to be anything other than what you are is the most special thing of all. Stop trying to be special. You already are. Start being ordinary. That's where the real magic lives.